Okay, so on Wednesday we had the first PvP event live stream. They got Cypher back, and it was all looked like a pretty good event. Couple problems. One, I know a lot of the PvP community didn't even know about this until the day or even afterwards. So the advertising on it wasn't the greatest, I don't think. But it had potential. Cypher was coming back. You had potential to be a cool event. Um, it didn't go to plan, I don't think. Let's talk about it. So, before we get into the more controversial side of this, I guess, I want to talk about just the live stream as a whole. Was it entertaining to watch? And the answer to that is no. It was painful to watch. And this has got nothing, I'm not talking about his skill level or any of that. I'm just talking about from a viewer standpoint, watching it on a very basic level, it was painful. And there's many reasons for this, and it's not any particular person's fault. It's just next time if they do something like this, they need a host because there was no chemistry between the three guys. It was painful. Um, but that's not what we're here for. We're all here for the juicy stuff, and let's get into it. All right, so unless you've been hiding under a rock, after the event, let's just say the community found Wheeler's skill level to be quite hilarious, or lack of skill, should I say. And I got to see all these reactions before I actually seen the live stream because it was on at midnight my time. I was sound asleep. But I thought the community as a whole was probably being pretty unfair here. Like, expecting a game developer to be good at your game and, be sweaty like people that play the game day in, day out is extremely unrealistic, and game developers do not need to be good at their game to be a good game developer. So that was my thoughts. I'm like, okay, the community's kind of overreacting here. Then I watched the live stream, and holy crap. Oh, wow. Now, for me, the biggest problem here has got nothing to do with his actual skill level. It's got to do with his understanding of the game. Now, there's a few things we can look at here. One, his build. Now, I didn't expect him to be good at the game, but I expected him to at least show up with a decent build. But he's running Oaken Soul, Mara's Balm, Hissap, and freaking Troll King? Did he forget the blanket nerf across the board? Like, I forgot about that. Oh, man, I wish they'd fix health recovery for that. That's another day. That's another day. Anyway, so his build's not the greatest. What about his skills? He's running Oaken Soul. Now, your skill selection on Oaken Soul is way more important than on any other setup, and his skill selection is crap. And there's one thing here I want to point you towards to that kind of explains how I'm feeling about the whole situation. And that is, he finishes the first BG and he kind of wants a CC. So he swaps jabs out, puts a CC on his bar, and overall, this is a good change. He's gave the group some more utility. Jabs was doing nothing for him anyway, and it's all good. Then he finishes that BG and he's like, "Oh, I'm missing healing from jabs."
Having the CC was nice, but not having as much healing with sweep was about tough. So
What, bro? What healing? Your jabs are hitting for a couple hundred. Like, what healing are you talking about? So this just shows me that on a very basic fundamental level, I don't think he understands the game. This is my opinion. Others are allowed to have their own, and I'm sure people that work with him day in day out have a better idea than me. But from someone looking in from the outside, it does not look good. And sadly, in this day and age, as a business, as a company, It really doesn't matter at the end of the day if the person is actually bad, if the community perceives him to be bad. And that's a real problem for them. So there's lots more things we could talk about. I will touch on the fact that Wheeler wasn't heavy attacking, and most of the time he was dying was because of the lack of stamina, and the whole community just kind of memeing on him for not knowing a core mechanic. Now, I don't think this is so much him not knowing about it. I think it's just him not being fundamentally a good player. But it's not a good look when your lead combat designer doesn't know or doesn't use, should I say, a core mechanic in the game. Once again, it's just not a good look for them. Also, they were crashing a fair bit. The queues were bugging out and they were getting booted back. And this is insane to me that a company that has made over $2 billion can't even bring a BG system into the game after freaking 10 years that works. Let alone being a month or two later. Like, it's not, there's no excuse for that. No excuse. You can make excuses about Wheeler's performance all you want, Zos, but there is zero excuse for queue problems and bugs like that wreck matches. All right, so let's get into their response to this whole situation. So this was on the forums, and this is a response from Jessica in regards to everything that has happened and what we've just talked about. It's not expected that a developer has god-tier skill at the game. I don't think anyone had those expectations, but sure. This goes to knowledge about the game too. ESO has is a huge game with a lot to remember and track. We don't expect perfect encyclopedic recall of every piece a developer has ever worked on. Spacing on a name or ability while running a stream and taking part in an interview doesn't mean the developer doesn't know the game or skills. It means they're human. 100%. 100%. If it was just simply him blanking on a skill name or a set name or something like that, 100% sure. It's just him being human. But it wasn't just that. It was his lack of build knowledge, his lack of what skills to put on his bar, the fact that he thought putting jabs back on his bar for a heal was a good thing to do, him not light attacking. Just all these things show the bigger picture. And it's not just what happened today, it's the last couple of years with PvP balance changes and all of that kind of stuff. Changes Zos have made that just leave us sitting here going, like, what the fuck? Like, what are they thinking? What is going on? Like, years of that with this has just all compounded into a very bad picture for ZeniMax. And at the end of the day, they can try and sugarcoat this, but it is what it is. And as I said, the community, like, even if he is a good game developer, Zos has a big problem right now because we don't think he is. And unfortunately, just because they know he is isn't going to change how we feel. So they have a problem. And hopefully, instead of just trying to push it to the side and gaslight and sugarcoat things, hopefully they take this on board and actually try and do better. This event has a lot of potential and it's really cool, and I love that they did it. I do. Any communication with developers and stuff is really good. I do want to touch on that. This is the last part. Okay, I promise. There was a lot of comments getting deleted. A lot. And yes, some of them were toxic. But the big majority of them were constructive criticism, they were feedback, and they were deleted. So you have Zos sitting here trying to tell us that they want to do these events to communicate with the community and be open and, whatever that they say the reason behind it is. But then you have your mods sitting here deleting constructive criticism questions that you may not like. Like, how does that make any sense? Maybe it's time to talk to your mod team, maybe, and tell them to be less handed. Because I've seen a lot of comments that shouldn't have been deleted. Like, they just shouldn't have been. They weren't toxic, they were negative, but they weren't toxic. And they say, even in this post, they are open to constructive criticism. Anyway, guys, let me know in the comments what you think of this big ass shit sandwich that Zos created for themselves. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.